Hello my friends, first of all I want to start this video from the sad news that happened in Ukraine last night. It was the massive Russian attack on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure again, and some of the residential buildings were hit by the Russian caliber cruise missiles. The 9-story building in Uman city, it's on the way from Kiev to Odessa, was targeted by one of the missiles. The part of the building was completely demolished, and it's been confirmed till this hour that there are 24 bodies found on the scene and many more injured people were delivered to hospital. It was a long break for the Russian rocket attacks on Ukraine. The last one was at the beginning of the March. Also Mykolaiv, Dnipro and Kiev were under the Russian rocket attacks, and for Mykolaiv, Russia targeted the residential area where there are no any kind of the infrastructure, just the buildings where people live. As for the capital city of Kiev, there was the ground explosion reported on the northern part of the city, but the rest of the explosions happened in the skies because the Ukrainian air defense worked quite fine in that area. Maybe Ukraine has deployed the Patriot systems in that area that helped to shut down the Russian missiles. Also, it was reported that Russia launched the drones. And as for the drones, everything was shut down. As for the Dnieper city, Dnipro over here, one of the Russian missiles just hit the private house out there and the family that was living in that house. Unfortunately, no one survived. Our allies are helping Ukraine to monitor the situation over our skies, and they guide the operation of the Ukrainian air defense systems. Otherwise, there will be more rockets that hit the civilian infrastructure. So for today, we have the Boeing P-8A Poseidon, which is the Boeing 737 modification, the military one that is used for the surveillance operations. Yesterday, there was the other surveillance airplane flying in Polish airspace, and it's been confirmed by our allies, in particular by France, that Russia fired the rockets deliberately to the residential areas where people live. So why does Russia continue to do it? Why do they use the very expensive rockets to target just the residential buildings but not the military units? I have own theory about it. Probably Putin was sure that Ukrainians would greet the soldiers, the Russian soldiers, with the flowers, but we resist. So that is how he shows that he is not okay with the decision of the Ukrainian people to resist against the Russian invasion. You may call it the payback, but I call it the coward behavior. So in the best scenario, as I see it, to avoid those situations to happen again, it's good to receive the fighter jets and the long-range missiles to Ukrainian army. But you know, politicians have their own thoughts about this issue, and Russia is still in United Nations, which is total nonsense as for me, and it says a lot about the United Nations organization in general. So we have double standards everywhere. Then Russia is doing those attacks. They're the same as the attacks of Al-Qaeda or something. So there are still countries and organizations that are okay with the Russian behavior. Luckily, we have the great support from the people in most of the countries, especially in democratic countries, and it's the main thing. Hopefully, after the new counterattack that will be performed by Ukrainian forces, something will change in Russia. And President Zelensky today, while meeting with his colleagues from Slovakia and Czech Republic, received the question whether there will be the counteroffensive of Ukrainian army, and he says yes. That's the only answer that he gave, and we still are in lack of the information where and when it's gonna happen. And let's go for the updates. For example, in Bakhmut we have the light movement of the Russian soldiers here. Let's go for the timeline. So it was yesterday and it is today like that. So they push towards this road that separates this district with the big residential buildings from the private sector, and the military base already was captured mostly by the Wagner forces. And today the leader of the Wagner, Prigozhin, in one of his interviews says that Wagner after some short period of time will cease to exist. He says that we will go down in a history. The interviewer was shocked. He asked Prigozhin, "Don't you think that this loud statement now demoralizes everyone?" And Prigozhin answered that I will repeat it again. So in general he said that Wagner already already fulfilled its mission. I think that here Prigozhin admits that Wagner losses are very severe and they cannot continue. Alright guys, YouTube have started some of the interesting stuff against some of my videos. Today I got this message that one of my videos was deleted because YouTube simply doesn't like it. So I have the alternate option. I have the Telegram channel, so please subscribe for me over there, because if something goes wrong with my YouTube channel, that's the only resource that you may find me. So I'm always available on Telegram, and there I upload regularly many news per one day. And the information is more detailed, there are much less censorship, and I can speak whatever I want. Plus there are no any advertisements, so in general this platform, the Telegram I mean, is more friendly for the user, but still continue to watch me on YouTube. And I would say that the YouTube platform is also great. It helps me to reach the audience around the world, but it's so regulated that it brings me the feel of this anxiety, and I'm not sure for how long I can upload the videos on this platform. Unfortunately, we have monopoly. On the other platforms, I will not be able to reach as many views as I'm reaching on YouTube. So I'm still quite okay with it, but in general I feel like on a minefield with YouTube regulations. You never know when and what will explode. For example, this video was filmed 1.5 months ago and now totally revoked several hours ago. So again, please subscribe for my Telegram. You may find the link below, just not to lose me. Alright, that's the job of the FPV drone, and they're flying towards the Russian positions. You can see several Russian tanks, 4 of them, and 3 of the tanks got in contact, let's say, with the FPV drones. And we have the surveillance drone that was flying far away, so it's the zoom camera showing that Russian tanks were a little bit different compared to what was before. Yes, FPV drones are so powerful that they can modify some of the Russian tanks, especially like T-72 or T-80 with rounds inside the base, and if those shells reach some sort of the temperature, they may command the turret of the tank to fly away, and you have the separate modification of the tank base and the turret. Also, there are no more crew required, so it may be used as the drone tank. However, it loses the ability to shoot and run, but as you can see, it's still the tank. This tank was not modified properly, but we'll fix it. The full video you may find on my Telegram channel. And more about Telegram, the Ukrainian Minister of Culture decided to control it, but it's not possible. Russia tried to establish the control over the Telegram, Brazil now tries, and also now Ukraine, but you cannot do anything with it. It gives the freedom of expression and no government may influence it. And that's why I like that resource. Some say that it's owned by Russia, but it is fake, my friends. Yes, it was the Russian who designed the Telegram, who found this app, but he is in the opposition to the current Russian government. He designed the Russian Facebook, which is called Vkontakte, and Russia just robbed him, taking the control over it, so he had to flee the Russia, and now he's in Dubai, one of the richest guy. About our yesterday's topic, the vulnerability of the Ukrainian artillery and the air defense systems against the Lancet drones. So here's the result of the usage of the simple nets that were over the artillery system. You can see that Lancet drone exploded over the artillery in the nets, and the part of the drone survived this hit. Alright, more about the future Ukrainian counterattack. We'll not have the Abrams tanks for that, but we'll have Bradleys, we'll have Marders, Strikers, and Leopard 2 tanks together with Challenger 2. Soon we're also gonna receive the Leopard 1A5 modification tanks. There will be many of them, but they will be delivered during the summertime. So I guess we're gonna start the counterattack with what we have, and little by little we're gonna replace the damaged vehicles or lost vehicles with a new shipment. And yes, we have the confirmation from the German defense minister that we're gonna receive the Leopard 1 tanks at the middle of this year, which means during the summertime. The United States have sent to Ukraine the special detectors of radiation and the detectors of the origin explosions of the nuclear warheads. The article was published by the New York Times, and they say that the idea is to identify and confirm the probable Russia cause of the radioactive explosion on the Ukrainian territory. With those detectors, the possible actions of Moscow would be confirmed, and they will be able to identify the origin and the outcome of the nuclear explosion that is possible, they say. Putin today signed the law of the special status for the veterans that took the part in the conflict in Ukraine since 2014. Interesting, because Russians say that we are not there, those are just some rebels in Ukraine itself, it's the civil war. But now with this law, they admitted that those were their forces that they sent to cut Donbass from Ukraine. It seems like Ukraine is preparing the small group of the soldiers that will take those canoes to cross the rivers like the Dnieper. We have this information and the photos provided by the build resource. Well, it could be effective because those canoes are very silent, but I would recommend to use the special thermal blankets to avoid being spotted by the thermal cameras. In that case, it is the awesome tool for some sort of the small special operations. It's interesting, but Russia moved out their vehicles in Jankoy, so it's their main hub, at least it used to be, that they put the armored vehicles delivered from the Russian Federation, and after it they put those vehicles on the rails to deliver on the south part of Ukraine and to Donbass as well. So there are no more vehicles over there. Before it was crowded in this area, and what they did, they built the trenches across this area with no armored vehicles, so they do expect the Ukrainian counterattack. Otherwise, why would they need to move all of that stuff? This train was spotted in Ohio State, and you can see the decoys of the S-300 system, maybe S-400, and this seems to be the Russian Tor. Those are so detailed that it's hard to spot the difference even from the drone camera. I wonder where that stuff will be delivered. Probably those were made for the training of the United States soldiers. And now I want to show you the tactical map from the military land resource of the Bakhmut city. So here you can see that Russia is still away from the military base. I think I would better trust the deep state map because their data is based on the live analysis. The military land usually receives the information a little later. But those maps are very similar. As you can see, Ukraine is still controlling the part of the city. It's not the big one, but we have lots of the forces in that area. And from what we can see that Russia is still unable to move towards Khromovo to cut supplies. They got the vector of their attack from this part, but now I don't see it. They've started the secondary attack, but Ukrainians were able to build the defense lines, so Russia just bogged down in this area. For how long does Ukraine is going to defend the Bakhmut city? My prediction, until the counterattack starts. My friends, again, I highly recommend you to subscribe for my Telegram channel just for us to stay connected if something goes wrong with my YouTube channel. I hope that everything will be fine, but no one knows. And you may also support my job on the sponsorship of this YouTube channel or on Patreon. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.